Transitory inflation just got a big extension as the IMF came out with its latest global predictions, now saying that global inflation will last for years. Specifically, they forecast that 2023 inflation will come in at almost 7% worldwide, and it won't get much better in 2024 at almost 6% worldwide. Note, that would make it 5 years and counting for this very transitory inflation of ours. Also note, the IMF has consistently underpredicted inflation. They work with central banks after all, so it could be even worse. To go with all that inflation, the IMF is now also predicting slow growth worldwide. In other words, we are looking at stagflation on a global level, with growth barely keeping up with population in the rich countries, averaging just 1.5% for 2023 and falling even lower in 2024. They predict particular weakness in Germany, which is deindustrializing fast, Italy, which is a financial basket case, the UK, which is barely keeping afloat, and for Japan, which seems to be ramping up its heretofore leisurely descent into oblivion. The anemic growth, of course, is tied to the inflation. After printing so many trillions to buy lockdowns, the world's central bank cartel chose to crush the private economy instead of turning down the government spending. The problem is crushing the productive economy is not doing the trick. With inflation now rising again, so just 3 months ago, for example, the IMF was predicting 5.2% global inflation next year, and now they are closer to 6%. So every bump in inflation means more strangled credit down the pike, taking growth and jobs down with it and deepening global stagflation. Now, given the IMF works for governments, naturally they do not blame government spending nor the money printers. Instead, they obediently blame the victim, so tight labor markets, meaning workers asking for a raise, or inflation expectations, meaning workers, companies, and households raising prices to survive inflation. So what's next? Brought to you by Unchained. What's next is inflation is increasingly looking like it will stay for years. It has already gone from a 2-week visit to moving in and redecorating the living room, all whilst organizations like the IMF are drooling at their chance to make it worse. How? In the very same report confessing that government-fueled and central bank financed spending is driving the world into stagflation, the IMF lists out recommendations filled not with controlling spending in central banks, but with central planner fantasies about yet more inflation-pumping government spending. These central planner utopias include a renewed push on the green transition that replaces cheap fossil fuels with comically expensive renewables, along with plans for potentially trillions going to, quote, increase resilience and improve food security, which are both code for handing trillions to poor countries. Both would naturally raise inflation and slow economic growth, but let no crisis go to waste. In short, our ruling clowns are finally admitting they broke it, that we are in for years now of stagflation, and their solution is to break it some more. As for the rest of us who pay their salaries and suffer their policies, expect slower growth and higher inflation for years to come. Last time we were here in the 1970s, we got lucky with Paul Volcker, who finally fixed it with drastic rate hikes. This time, we could be waiting a lot longer. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.